I just secured second place out of 543 case submissions at the BTribe case competition. So today's goal is simple. We are going to understand everything you need to know in order to crack your first case study competition. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So the first thing, what exactly is a case study competition? A case study competition is basically a hypothetical or a real world business problem that is given to you. Your job is to understand the problem, find the root cause, and come up with practical solutions, and to explain why your solution works. So that are the absolute basics of what is a case study. Now let's in detail understand the case study that I particularly worked on. Firstly, I'll show you exactly how the case study looks like, and this is something you'll be able to find down in the video description below. The hypothetical business problem is that Reliance Jio has launched their very own AI called JioAI, and it has a few business units. The first unit is an AI powered content creation tool. Now this is a case study way of saying that Jio has launched its own chatbot like ChatGPT. The second one is personalized education. Third is AI in healthcare. And finally, we have enterprise solutions. So enterprise solutions is are AI solutions designed to help small as well as large businesses. And how exactly, you may ask, that was for us to figure out. Now here is where the case becomes exciting. It had different problems for different domains like HR, product management, marketing, finance, and so on. And teams were free to pick one based on their area of interest. We particularly chose finance, and here is what our problem statement looked like. The first problem that JioAI was facing was that of monetization or revenue model, meaning JioAI has been offering services for free to gain market share. That was something that was already given in the case, but now it needs a clear monetization strategy in order to make money and be sustainable. So we had to figure out what is it that JioAI should offer and how it should price those services in order to become profitable. The next problem JioAI was facing was that of investment strategy, meaning JioAI needs significant investments. How much should it invest in different areas to get the best ROI was something we had to figure out. The third thing was partnerships, meaning who is it that JioAI should partner with in order to scale their operations effectively and provide the best services possible to their clients. Now let's understand how to actually win this thing. Let's get into the first round. So basically this competition was organized in 3 rounds. Round 1 was the first stage PPT, which was 3 slides. Round 2 was 5 slides, and which we'll get to later in a minute. And round 3 was the elevator pitch and the presentation. So now let's understand how we cracked round 1. The first thing is it is a 3-slide deck, meaning our entire solution to the problems that I just mentioned needs to be covered in these 3 seconds. So in these 3 slides, the next thing is how are you supposed to structure it? You can structure it in any way you want, but the thing is all the problems should be covered and your solution should be coherent. And it should have a lot of detailing. It should show to the panel that a lot of thought has been put into this. So we'll first look at our very own slides that we made for this particular round. And in addition to that, I'll also be giving you some winning tips. So let's get into the PPT. Now, this was the title slide, something that was not compulsory, but we decided to do that anyway. So here an interesting part you would notice is that JioAI has a logo. Now, why did we go the extra mile and create a logo for it? Just because we wanted to, and we wanted to show the panel that we have worked hard on it. Even if this is a finance case study, we put a little bit of thought into the marketing aspect as well. So maybe a little bit of brownie points here we got, I don't really know about that, but every small pinch of effort counts towards the final result. But of course, the title slide is not included in the 3-slide deck. The next is the actual slide, is the first slide. The first slide we included was that we thought that JioAI needs to be segregated into 4 different companies. Now, why we thought of doing that is so that every company has its own unique focus. In addition to that, they can also attract focused partnerships and focused investment. So that is the first problem that we solved. In addition to that, in this slide, we've also covered the services portfolio of each different business units. One pro tip here as well, we went the extra mile. We gave certain unique Indian names, some desi terminology to each one of these products. We created logo for each one of these products as well. So just goes to show that going the extra mile helps, that you put in that extra little bit of effort and that counts towards the final result. Because as you can imagine, 543 teams coming second in that, and we also lost by a very small margin to the first. So the point being that in these aspects, the smallest of details, the smallest of efforts, they count. So this slide mainly has our solution of splitting JioAI into 4 companies, and then we've also talked about the services portfolio. One thing I want you to notice is the fact that there is a title and a conclusion slide to each. There's a title and a conclusion to each one of these slides. That is the first thing I want you to notice. And if you jump on to the second slide, now I want you to notice the fact that the color scheme is being constant. When you look at these slides one by one, the color scheme remains the same. That is yet another thing I want to take care of. Now, the second slide is about the partnerships. What kind of organizations should JioAI partner with in order to provide the best possible product possible to its customers? In addition to that, not only the organizations that JioAI should partner up with, but also the percentage of the joint venture that should be shared with this particular organization. And of course, we also had discussed that what is the rationale behind giving this particular partnership stake to each one of these stakeholders. That was one thing we discussed. And what are the advantages and why is it that this particular stakeholder be chosen? Those are the reasons, those are the things that we have included in this particular slide. One more thing is there, that research, primary and secondary research is very, very important. If anyone does not know the meaning of that, let me know down in the comment section below. So primary research, you should mostly reserve it for the later rounds. That is something that we have done as well. Basically, primary research is some kind of research that you've conducted yourself, for example, by circulating Google Forms and so on. And secondary research is leveraging research that other people have already done. So that is one thing I need you to understand, that primary research should be kept for latter rounds. That is something that can really help you win a case study competition. So that is one thing. This is our final slide. And one more thing very important is that we've included an appendix. I don't know how many teams have included an appendix in their slides, but an appendix is basically showing your homework to the judges, the panelists as well. That goes to show that your figures and the things that you've put in your slide are not something that you've just come up with. A lot of research has gone into this, and this research also needs to be shown to the panelists. Now, this is the round 2. This is a round 2 submission. Basically, 80 people were selected, or 80 teams were selected after round 1. And after round 2, 21 teams were selected. So this was our submission for round 2. So basically, this is where all the magic happened. Our most effort went into developing these slides. So the first pro tip here that I want you to understand, that there is no empty space in any of these slides. This, for example, is the executive summary slide. We have summarized everything in this particular slide: our whole solution, the problem, partnerships, investment needs, revenue model, and so on. This is where the most effort went in. So this, again, you can notice the title, conclusion slide, the organization, the formatting. Formatting is very important. Formatting meaning the alignment of different boxes, how your slide looks. That is something. The aesthetics of slides are also very important when it comes to winning case competitions. So this is the executive summary slide. The next one is the current scenario. We decided to show the panel what was actually happening right now, and what is the solution that we are proposing. Again, the rationale behind splitting JioAI into 4 companies, that is something we have talked about. The current market, that is something we have talked about in the 4 different industries, that is chatbot, edtech, ERP solutions, health tech, all of that. We have shown what is the current market scenario, as in how are the competitors performing, what kind of revenues, what kind of profits they are making. Again, there is a summary of this entire slide at the top of the slide. So that is the second slide, the current scenario. The next one is the services portfolio, meaning in detail we are explaining now what is it that JioAI and all of its verticals are going to provide. Now here is where the interesting part comes in, the primary research. We conducted primary research of close to 100 people. We circulated Google Forms and we got insights, and those insights are the basis of which we have figured out the pricing structure that I'll be showing you in a second. So this, for example, this is the section where the services portfolio comes in. Basically, what is it that JioAI is going to provide? We have included primary research insights, some secondary research insights as well, and again there is a title and a conclusion here. The next is partnership and revenue model, just carrying forward everything that we have worked on in the first round, but just a lot more detailing, a lot more thought has went into this. And again, primary research insights are what is going to dictate the exact pricing. As you will notice, in round one we had not given specific for example names, for example pricing of what each and every product is going to cost, but here at the second round we are expected to provide much more detail, and that is exactly what we have done here. We have provided numbers to each one of our revenue model details. And how have we gotten to those particular figures? Using primary research, using Google Forms that we have circulated across people in order to understand what is the price that people would be willing to pay, what are the kind of products that they would like to use. Next slide is arguably the most important slide, because this was the crux of the finance part that we had incorporated in this particular slide deck. And here you can see that we have, let's say, assumed that whatever has been the revenue of competitors in this particular space, the first year revenue of the competitors, is going to be the first year revenue of our companies as well. And then we have taken up growth rates based on industry assumptions and so on. We have then went ahead and calculated using different capital budgeting techniques. We've figured out what should be the NPV, the IRR, the payback period, and essentially all these different finance jargons, they just mean that how long is it going to take, or how long is it going to take for a particular investment to become profitable, how much yield or how much return a particular investment is going to generate. That is something that we have calculated, and that calculation is also going to go into the appendix. I'm going to show you that in a second. We've added an insight section, basically summarizing everything that we have talked about and giving actual insights that, let's say, an investor or a panelist or a judge can look into. So again, title, conclusion, very important. We've also mentioned the sources, and one thing you'll notice, there isn't any blank space. Very, very crucial. If there is blank space, you need to figure out some way that you can add value in a particular slide. The next one is the investment needs. How much investment is each of the verticals of JioAI going to need? And you also need to give detailed bifurcation of why each vertical is going to need the money that it's going to need. You can't just write, let's say $10 million for product and engineering. What exactly is going to go behind that product and engineering? Why do you need $10 million? You need to write about that. You need to give some insights into, let's say, industry practices की इंडस्ट्री में ऑलरेडी कितना खर्चा होता है और अब हमको कितना यूज में आने वाला है फॉर JioAI. दैट इज समथिंग यू कैन डू. यू कैन लुक एट यूएस कंपनीज कि वहां पे इतना खर्चा हुआ था, तो वहां पे तो उनका कंपेरेटिवली 40% तो अपना होगा ही. Those are some of the logics that can be utilized. So that is one thing that I want you to look at. Now, as I promised, the appendix, everything that you've done, the primary research, all those proofs need to be attached, because if you say you have conducted primary research, what is the proof? Why the judge is going to believe you? You need to attach some kind of proof. You need to give those capital budgeting calculations, that your numbers haven't just come out of thin air. There is a lot of calculation that goes behind those numbers. So that is one thing I need you to understand. We have given detailed financials of each one of the figures that we have mentioned in the particular slide about financial forecast. So this is one important factor I need you to understand. Now let's look at the third and the final round. 21 teams got into this particular round, and there were two particular aspects to this round. The first was an elevator pitch. An elevator pitch was supposed to be a 1 minute video where we presented our solution in a vertical video format. So this was supposed to be like a reel wherein the hook is going to have a lot of importance. Now, what is a hook? For someone who's not into, let's say, video making, a hook is basically the first 5 or the first 7-8 seconds in which the audience decides whether they are going to stay and look at your video or they are going to not look at your video. So that hook is very, very important when you are making a reel. The next bigger aspect, the major chunk of this round, was the presentation. So this was something that happened on the 1st of May, wherein we were supposed to present our particular entire solution to the panel. And of course, I can link down below the solution of the presentation that we made to the panel. Let me know if you would want to see that. I'll upload that as well to the channel. So let me know down in the comment section below. So some crucial tips for the presentation: I need you to thoroughly go through your entire PPT once again. And what we did particularly was we brainstormed and we figured out at least 50 questions that the panel could ask us on the basis of our PPT. Now you can use you can use brainstorming, you can ask ChatGPT what are the kind of questions a panel can ask, but basically you need to have a big list of questions that the panel could ask you, and you need to be prepared with the answers to these questions. In addition to that, you need to rehearse your PPT, because you need to rehearse the presentation of your PPT, because we were given exactly 7 minutes, and if we went above that particular threshold, we were going to be stopped. So we had rehearsed at least 3 times, and the first time we rehearsed, we took about 9 minutes, and then we had to cut our respective parts in order to bring it down to 7 minutes or 7 minutes 10 seconds at max. And that rehearsal part is very important in order for you to be able to finish your PPT in time. Thank you so much for watching the video till the end. I'm going to attach a quick snippet about team building and what are the things that you should take care of. With that said, that's a little bit from my side, and bye bye.